It's disappointing when I hear black people talk about how much they love the Constitution, how much they love America, and it speaks volumes to just how little they actually think about the words that come out their mouth, especially when it pertains to the United States. Blacks at the time this country was forged, we were still slaves. None of the rights and privileges was ever intended for our people. When you look at the Constitution that black people love, it reference to we the people. In 1776, we were considered slaves. There was no mention of the word slavery prior to the 13th Amendment in 1865. So that means that none of the founding fathers was alive at the time to make these alterations. There was no privileges put into this Constitution, no rights, no benefits, no nothing. It was just an amendment saying that they was going to release blacks from slavery and never and then go right into involuntary servitude if you break a law, just any law. You go from abolishing slavery to you break any law and you can fall right back into involuntary servitude. No other race of people on the planet that's ever been oppressed by another has ever fallen under the jurisdiction of the oppressor. When Jews were released from the Holocaust, there wasn't anything they could have done that would allow the Germans to take them back up under control. Once they were free from them, they were free from them, and they took the necessary steps to make sure that they never fall up under the oppression of not just Germans, but anybody else. We do totally the opposite of that. If the Constitution was made for us, we should have been freed around 1700. From 1700, once you released the slaves, that would have given you 76 years to rehabilitate these people, educate them, restore what you took from them, their language, their culture, their traditions. And from 1700 to 1776, we would have had a few generations of children that was trained and not as sons and daughters of slaves, but sons and daughters of free men and women. But they didn't do that. Had you did it that way, freed the slaves in 1700, re-educated them, then acclimated them into society, we would have had a social, political, and an economic base so that when 1776 rolled around, the Constitution would have reflected the thoughts and desires of free black men and women. The Constitution would have looked totally different than it do right now. You don't release slaves 89 years after the Constitution was forged and then say that these are our rights and privileges when we wasn't even thought of at the time. Because let me put it like this: if you were black and born in 1776, it was a good chance that you wouldn't even have be alive to experience the taste of freedom or the Constitution, because you wasn't these things. Freedom wasn't bestowed onto blacks until 1865, 89 years, and I don't know how many slaves lived to be a ripe old 89 years of age. The constitutional protections didn't even pertain to us because we were property at the time. This is why I say our new movement should be to remove all these stigmas, all these negative laws that can be applied to us, just like the LGBTQ. They removed from the Journal Book of Medicine that homosexuality was a mental defect. We have got to do the same thing, because it sickens me. Out of one side of black people mouths, they'll tell you that we were property, and then out the other side, they're talking about how they love the Constitution. How do you have? How can you say both? I mean, that's just, it's sad. Our rights and privileges should be put into the Constitution so that it's clear, not assumed. Because when this Constitution was forged, blacks were slaves and not even thought of. So don't tell me that we are the full recipients of this benefit without the luxury of having our own businesses and industries, political position, no control over our economics. It's impossible for you to reap the benefits of this country and not having a presence in all of these factors. It's impossible. We need to create our own manufacturing companies, businesses to circulate our economics. Like I say, these things should be in the Constitution, and they should be specifically for us. So when you look at it and you read it, you know exactly who it pertains to. We do that, then we can control our economics. We can manage our costs. We can create the political presence that we need to govern over our people. Because whites are never going to do this on their own. I mean, that's just, they're never going to do it. But the only way to wake black people up is if we was to start doing this, and when you start to see white people fight, resist, and come up with all these other reasons why, it's going to leave blacks no choice but to see whites for the devils that they really are. And everything that you've been fighting for, all the pictures of you being in the military, proud, wearing your little uniform, knowing that you've been fighting, scrapping, risking your lives, all for the rights and privileges of somebody else, and they was never intended for you.